Guys, with Dawn of Majesty dropping this week, it definitely is something that would be remiss in us not taking a look at Despia and trying to figure out whether it be pure, whether it be invoked, whether it be Shaddoll. We really got to take a look at it. But is it meta? Well, let's find out. This is a meta of tomorrow video, so let's get into it. I think in the basic combos, the first one being Albert. Albert is the guy that can pretty much search any stigmata spell or trap card. Usually that's going to be the field spell, and then the field spell theater, which you can actually add, allows you to special summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck. Now, each one of the fusions, they're a bit of the issue, as there really isn't anything that you're going to summon as far as their fusion monsters are concerned that is absolutely going to be devastating. And that's the problem with Despia. It's too fair, and that's the actual issue. Make sure that you note that each time you use Dramaturgia in a fusion summon or a fusion a fusion summon, basically, I don't know what the hell I was trying to say, it does spam itself back, and it does have its own interruption and being able to negate a monster effect on your opponent's side of the field, or you can go directly into a rank 8 of your choosing, although you know it kind of is up to you. I do think number 90 is probably the best option. This time opening up Albert and Tragedy. Albert again is the wheels to everything, and fuses summoning Tragedy with this card, Albert, into this card, which is Quanritis. I'm not going to even try with the names. The names are actually ridiculous. You get to add Dramaturgia, and then from there, you have to keep into mind that all of the monsters have graveyard effects, floating effects. The field spell has a floating effect. The fusion has a floating effect. Like, everything is designed in Despia to kind of give your opponent a big pain in the ass, to be honest, because you can just keep floating. Now, the floating aspect isn't on the level of a BA or a Phantom Knight, but it definitely is something that you should consider at least thinking about picking up when Dawn of Majesty drops this weekend. As far as this combo, you're opening up all three of the names. All three of the names, it's interesting. Being able to summon the first Dark Lord easier in this deck than you can in Dark Lords is nonsense to me. But I wasn't playing the deck anytime soon because I'm a God-fearing gentleman and I don't want to play anything called Dark Lords. With that editorializing out of the way, though, I do feel like this card is very, very interesting within the deck because it does actually add an added layer of being able to summon another level 8 out onto the field. And if you really count the number of summons, this was one summon, the fusion, and then 2 more, and then that next one, which would be 4, allows you to summon a Photon Lord, and that can negate an Nibiru. So that's just something to remember. The Stigmatica Curtain Rise, which is the E-Telly for the deck, allows you to special summon out Albert without using your normal summon. And thus, if you do discard a card like Tragedy, you get to add the monster and you get to add the spell off of Albert himself. Now, as far as the deck is concerned, I do feel like while it is decent at the grind game and decent at pulling your opponent into it, the fusion monsters just aren't quite powerful enough. Dropping attack, that's not really amazing, although it is a quick effect. Now, whether it's Proscenium or Quaritis, both of them have floating effects to be able to special summon out either a Fallen of Valbaz or more Despia cards. It's definitely something interesting to look at, but as far as this combo is concerned, I really feel like it's the same thing over and over and over again. If you really want to simplify the deck and trying to understand it, pretty much the Albert is literally Alistair for the deck. And he actually is Fallen Valbaz in like a bunch of like garb because it's the same attack, same defense. I'm pretty sure it's just Fallen Valbaz all dressed up. But as far as the cards specifically, in this opening hand, in this opening combo and being able to open those 2 cards and Ecclesia, you can either choose to end on a rank 8 and Ecclesia can go search out the punishment, or in another one, and I'm just kind of rewinding it just so you can understand where I'm coming from, you can fuse all 3 of them and then summon out Proscenium. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering these names. But again, guys, I don't feel like he's just not quite unfair enough. Just don't think so. I do feel like the thing of being able to maybe move a card that's completely in the graveyard, out of the graveyard, onto your side of the field, or just banish it is awesome. But I really don't feel like that's that ignorant that the meta decks of today can't deal with it rather easily. I feel like a deck like Prank Kids would beat this deck senseless, and that's the issue. As far as Alistair, you know Alistair is still here 5 years later, still putting in work. I almost think it's 6 years now. But in this particular combo, you would normal summon Alistair, search out Invocation, then go into Artemis, and then fuse the Artemis and the Tragedy to be able to go into Quiritis, which Quiritis, again, is a pseudo interrupt. It's not really negating anything or stopping anything that you'd really be scared of. But when that card is sent to the graveyard, the Tragedy, you get to add one of these cards. In my opinion, in this particular scenario, you can add any of these, but I would add the Dramaturgia or the dark version of Maximus, Dogmatic and Maximus, to be able to at least end on an extra card. And I feel like if you fuse those two to make a Mechaba, although this is kind of running into a Nibiru in a sense, I do feel like either putting this card on the field next to a Mechaba, the Dramaturgia, or overlaying into a rank 8 is again something that you may want to consider. It's not necessarily something that you would deem necessary within the deck, but I do feel like it's definitely something that you should look into. Again, these are options. Again, you got Lancelot, Hope Harbinger, and the whole list of rank 8s. The Shaddoll issue, which I really get irritated because you can't really show combos or 1 or 2 card combos with Shaddolls, because Shaddolls is always so interactive that you have to have the full hand. So I really feel like God hands, this would be a God hand, right? But I do feel like the issue with the Shaddolls is hand traps are better than Despia. I'm pretty sure that's the consensus. I have Yuri Diaz on my team. I have some of the greatest Shaddoll players that I've ever seen, and they're some of my teammates, and they're all pretty much on the same wavelength. They would rather just play hand traps, because the hand traps, a lot of the times the winning percentage of those hand traps, shout out to YGLscope.com, you can go check it out. Some of those hand traps like Gamma, they're so powerful that you really don't need all of those cards. You really don't need all of the Despia stuff. It's powerful, and yes, it works hand in hand with Construct and being able to put in Rest Shaddoll Fusion in the Shaddoll version and be able to combo off even more. I just feel like you're doing a whole lot of nothing when really the current build of Shaddoll Dogmatica is just flat out better. And that's the issue with Despia. Despia is going to add a new layer. It's definitely going to add some new cards into the deck. It's going to add some rank 8 access that you might not have known before. Shout out to Superbia and Greater Polymerization. These are 2 techs that you can definitely take a look at. Obviously, if you're fusing with Greater Poly, then you would make it for the Dark Lord. But I do feel like a lot of these decks, and this is not a pristine list. This is not a solved list. This is me just trying stuff out. I really feel like all 3 versions of the deck just aren't going to be quite meta enough. But if you enjoy fusion summoning and you enjoy this added layer, it's going to be something to see the innovation that actually happens as we move forwards towards more in real life stuff. Hopefully we get more in real life tournaments and things start to turn around slowly. But you know, who knows with the current state of affairs in the world. But as far as wrapping this up, guys, I really feel that Despia, while very, very interesting, just isn't quite enough. But all of these options within the side deck are just options that you can mess around with and spend on your own time. You can play Superbia with the Dark Lord, which I think is actually ridiculous because it allows you to special summon another fairy and keep going. But, you know, it is what it is. You can figure it out for yourself. I hope this has helped you in some kind of ways. If you want to pick up Despia, let me know down in the comments. Do you love Despia? Do you hate Despia? Do you think it's just not quite good enough? What do you think? Let us know. I'm out. YG baby. Pegasus is out. Sayonara.